Consulting here at ServiceMax, and I'm super excited to be presenting this very intriguing topic in field service today. Hopefully we'll cover enough that when you leave you would understand more than 5 ways of using social technology in your field service setup and ultimately be able to delight your customers. The agenda is pretty simple and straightforward. I want to start off with an introduction to ServiceMax. At the company level, product level, in the product portfolio, I would want to focus on Service Pulse, which is ServiceMax's product for social technology. And then I'll go hand in hand and talk about the 5 ways to embrace social technology in your organization. Before I wrap it up and Jay takes over, I'd like to give you a few pointers on how to get started with Service Pulse. We have a live demonstration, so you can see all this in action with Jay, and hopefully we'll have enough time left for Q&A. With that, let's start with the introduction to ServiceMax. I think the best way to introduce ServiceMax is to talk about the mission statement we have here. We have a really big vision at ServiceMax. We believe that the field service industry is in the midst of a major transformation. I mean, traditionally, field service has been a very complex, cost-intensive, it's an operation with many moving parts. Getting the right tech for the right job at the right time has always been the focus, but in the past, it took a lot of effort and expensive systems and manual work to get this accomplished. Today, with technology advancements, all that has changed. And ServiceMax is leading the charge to helping customers rethink field service and to be able to drive value-based outcomes for you and your customers. ServiceMax is basically a triangulation of 3 key cutting-edge technologies today, which is cloud computing, mobile computing, and social technology. For the purposes of today's discussion, obviously, it's the social aspect that I want to focus on and talk more about. But I do want to take the chance to talk about our entire suite, which is an end-to-end extensive field service management capability. At the very core, we have install base and entitlements. We have work order management and advanced scheduling and workforce optimization, extensive parts logistics and inventory and depot repair. We have reports and dashboards for people of various roles to see what's happening at the service levels, at the inventory levels. You can run various reports to see that. And we have portals, both for the customer and the partner. Customers can log issues and see what's going on. Partners can better serve your customers in conjunction so you can maintain your brand name. Mobile is front and center for us. We have mobile solutions on the iPad, on smartphones, on the laptop, both offline and online. And Service Pulse, of course, that's the discussion for today. It's our social solution that we have at ServiceMax. I'll talk more about it for the rest of the presentation. I want to touch on the cloud platform, the fact that ServiceMax is built on the Force.com platform from Salesforce.com it goes to show that we are built on a platform that's very robust, that's proven and trusted by the market, and that makes our solution very appealing. With that, I would like to move to talking about Service Pulse. Let's set the stage first. Why now? Why social? What's in it for field service? And I think that's on the top of everyone's mind. Well, first off, because your customers are expecting it, the competitors are doing it, and it's like everybody's on Facebook. We know about Twitter. We know about LinkedIn. It's transformed our lives on the personal setting at various levels. And obviously, adoption is not just restricted to your personal life, but also in your workplace. Field service has not been cutting edge, and it's not adopted it as fast as other technologies have. But TSIA has done a study, and as it shows on the rightmost picture here, social media is picking up in 2012, and we see field service very rapidly adopting and planning to spend in this area. So Service Pulse from ServiceMax is all about the social technology and adapting this cutting-edge technology into our solution for field service. It's not about being social. It's all about delighting your customers. It's not Facebook for the workplace. It's not talking about, hey, what did you do for Mother's Day last weekend, or here's a picture of my dog. Instead, it's about increasing real-time knowledge and collaboration to delight your customers. When your entire organization has access to the expertise and the tribal knowledge of the company, you can solve customer issues at lightning speed. You can increase the first-time fix rate via collaboration. Even your home office folks who are not out there on the field can get up-to-date information on what's going on in the field. There are 3 key capabilities, features of Service Pulse that I want to call out. The first is obviously collaboration. That's a very obvious and a very up and center value add from social technologies. Obviously, your field techs don't have to be lone soldiers in the field anymore. I mean, they can carry with them the entire knowledge of the organization, the tribal knowledge. They can leverage documents that was once created by someone else they don't even know. They can lean on experts they've not connected with in the past. All they have to do is form the right amount of, be a part of the right group, and be able to share a fix in time, and ultimately you can delight customers. The first way, so the next few slides I want to talk about what are the top 5 ways you can influence your customers and be better able to serve them and delight them using social technology. First is fix it the first time around. And I want to give an example for each of these. Let's say Jake, the technician, is at the customer site fixing a large piece of machinery. He encounters a problem he's never seen before. He posts a question on Service Pulse asking folks in his group if anyone knows how to solve the issue. It seems very common that you would be at a site and you're not aware of how to fix something. Within minutes, the key engineer responds with a detailed description of what Jake needs to do in order to fix it. Traditionally, a company would have had to send someone out the next day, schedule someone based on the availability and so on. But Jake has not only successfully avoided a truck roll back to the customer, but the customer himself is thrilled that he got a solution and he got a fix the first time around. So this is Jake getting a 10 in his service rating from the customer. But wait, I mean, this doesn't have to end with Jake. This could be another. Now imagine a second technician facing the same problem at a different site. All he has to do is to go to Service Pulse. He can see the entire interaction between Jake and this engineer and the solution posted all there on Service Pulse. So that is if the issue comes up once again. I want to pull this a little further and say, hey, if this comes over and over again, you can circle back with your home engineers and say, hey, this is something we're seeing in the field very often, and then everybody is in the loop. That's one example. The second way you can help your customers is to help them help themselves, which is, and here's another example. Terry is a field tech, another field tech, and he's a plumber. He gets to the first job of the day. It's a leaking bathroom faucet. He's got all the right tools. He knows beforehand what the brand is, so he's taken the right parts in his truck, in his van. Once he starts the job, he realizes that it's a very simple knob hidden all the way in the back, and all he had to do was to turn it off to stop the leak, turn it around in some direction. What he does is he takes a picture of the knob and posts it on Service Pulse. And he adds some detailed notes on where to find the knob and which direction to turn it in. He then shares it with the community. And now in his network, everybody can see the fix. Customers can now easily go ahead, do it themselves without even creating a case or a service request. I mean, how convenient is that? Next, we have another important aspect of Service Pulse is Ticker. Ticker is all about giving employees with different roles, be it a technician, a service manager, a CEO, an executive, whoever, the chance to see and follow people, follow cases, opportunities, to have visibility into key updates and important items as they occur, real time. And this is something that's very key, and I think the next two examples will drive home the point. First off, it will help you stay on top of everything. What I mean by that is, let's take the example of Dave, the CEO. So he can keep a pulse on the affairs of the entire organization at various levels: company, customers, products, people. He could post frequently. He could track all these cases, technicians, products, I mean, to whatever extent he wants to. He could even interact with people that would traditionally not have had access to him, the CEO. Now, Dave can see and follow a service contract that just got renewed, or he may be interested in this super important customer and wants to know every interaction with this customer. He can do that via Service Pulse. And remember our technician, Jake? Dave can see that Jake has had outstanding performance not just in the last visit. For the last 4 weeks, he's had 10 in customer satisfaction rating. Dave decides to congratulate Jake on a job well done and rewards him a one-time bonus on the spot. All other technicians follow this appreciation on Service Pulse, and they are motivated to perform better in the field. That's a classic example of how an executive gets to stay on top of everything. Handle escalations as they happen. As a service manager, let's say Stacy uses Ticker as a dashboard to get the high-level visibility into all the activities of her team. She can watch as cases get opened and closed. She can see where the technicians are getting stuck and how she might be able to help. She could jump on escalations in a timely manner and handle them effectively to ultimately please the customer. She could even give kudos to technicians, when something is completed effectively. That's the fourth way of using social media. Ultimately, we have Product Pulse, which is somewhere my favorite. It's like, the machine-to-machine, really cutting-edge, remote device monitoring that a product could, it's bringing life to a product where a product says, hey, I'm down, or I'm up, there's a problem, do something to me, kind of thing. It's about proactively and automatically being able to create a work order based on the trouble that a product has. Let's take an example. The example is a hospital scenario. Let's say a complicated X-ray machine is broken. The facility doesn't know about it yet. Now imagine this X-ray machine triggering a notification or an alert to the system that automatically creates a work order, and the right technician is scheduled and dispatched to fix this problem. The hospital authorities are immensely pleased and delighted that this was brought to their attention, and proactive service was offered to them. You, on the other hand, have generated unplanned service revenue and maybe even have an upsell opportunity with a different SLA. Talk about a win-win situation. This is just a recap of the 5 ways one could use social technology, and I've just surfaced the top 5. There are so many other ways one could get creative and innovative in using this technology. This is something that we've heard back from our customers. Fix it the first time around, help your customers help themselves, stay on top of everything that's relevant to you, handle escalations as they happen, and provide proactive product service. Oh, this is something I wanted to call out. McKinley, and this is, trust me, this is just one customer example I have. McKinley Equipment is a family-owned business since 1948. They're headquartered in Irvine, California, and they deliver safe solutions to loading docks, warehouses, and for both industrial and commercial facilities. They also have McKinley elevators that provide elevator lifts and ramps. When they came to ServiceMax, their business objective was to drive service revenue by providing their technicians the right tools to capture new opportunities. They also wanted to provide visibility across sales and service and provide the management that they have internally, the tools to proactively manage resources and work. Their main tool for managing work orders are iPads, really cool and cutting edge. I wanted to actually read an email that Kevin sent to folks at ServiceMax, and we were just, it made our day, it made our week. We were thrilled to get this from Kevin, who's the CFO and managed this project, the ServiceMax project at McKinley. Here it goes. A technician was trying to figure out how a bunch of power app airbag levers work in an empty building that McKinley just took over for Bank of America. Apparently, the electrical install was never completed years ago. So Pete, the technician, went to ServicePulse, looked in the library, pulled up a manual in just a few seconds. Previously, this would have taken us a week and a return trip just to present a recommended solution. Today, it just took us 20 minutes. I mean, how cool is that? That is talking about returns on investment as soon as the solution is in place. It just depends on what you have installed. This is a combination of ServicePulse and the mobile solution and everything from ServiceMax. And ServicePulse has truly turned every user into a raving fan. And the quotation from Kevin, I think, just sums it all pretty well. ServicePulse is a game changer for his organization, and he is super excited about the way it got implemented at McKinley. This is my last slide before we move on to the exciting part of the demonstration by Jay. I urge you to get started with ServicePulse, and here are some of the things that our customers have circled back, studies have shown, and so on. First, get executives involved. I mean, if you have your CEO and top management bought into the social technology and the social aspect of doing stuff, it drives faster adoption. Create groups. See only what matters to you. If you're a field technician in the Bay Area in California, join groups that are relevant to you, maybe based on the products you handle, based on the geography that you deal in, and so on. Find your champions. I mean, any new technology that has to be embraced would need change agents, would need champions. So make sure you call out the scenarios and use cases for ServicePulse. I gave you 5 examples. I'm sure for your business, you can map this to how you can use it. So find your champions, convey it to them, and it's easier to get started with ServicePulse that way. Streamline key processes. If there's something you've done using paper and pen in the past, using emails or a voice or on the phone, try doing it on ServicePulse. It could be a vacation request. It could be something that the technicians are used to communicating to the team. Make sure you can suggest that such a key process is streamlined on ServicePulse today. Next, make ServicePulse a module in your training program. I mean, new hires across the company and in an annual meeting or something, spend some time on ServicePulse so it reinforces the focus that the executives have on this particular solution. With that, I think I can take a breather and hand it over to Jay, who is going to take us through a demonstration. Jay, over to you.
All right. Thank you, Vidya, for the introduction. Let's get right into the demonstration. ServicePulse is a platform for social and automated collaboration throughout your organization. It's powered by Salesforce Chatter, and no other field service vendor offers this type of functionality. We think it's a game changer, and we think it's something that if you have ServiceMax, you can use it to increase your revenue and increase your customer satisfaction. If you thought that collaboration in the enterprise was sharing what you had for lunch, then you're mistaken. You're in for a surprise. Collaboration reduces costs and enables revenue. Here are 3 very specific examples that I'm about to show you. Number 1, the ticker, the ServicePulse ticker. Number 2, Product Pulse. Number 3, mobile collaboration. And with that brief introduction, let's get into it. All right, I've logged in. I've logged in as a few users on a couple of different browsers. And if I move over here, I'm logged in as David Achiever, who's the CEO of my company. So Dave Achiever uses the ticker, which is what we're looking at here, to stay on top of a real-time streaming update of what's going on in the company. It gives him visibility to changes and the ability to follow anything that he cares about. He can see that Ken Remington, who is the VP of Services, has shared a contract billing report. Now what's going on in this company is they had legacy contracts called the bronze level and the gold level, and they've now moved and introduced, because of Service Pulse, a new type of contract that enables them to do proactive support. And those proactive contracts are selling really well. So Ken's pretty happy about it, and Dave's pretty happy about it. Ken says, hey, by the way, that new Summit Health contract just went live, which pushed them into the green for this quarter. So things are looking good. Dave can stay on top of changes automatically. The system will automatically let him know when opportunities that he follows, opportunities that he's decided to follow, have changed status. So this one has moved from qualification to in contract, so it's gotten up to 80%. And Ken even posted a little message saying what's going on. Now, Dave, as a CEO, he doesn't have to follow everything. He doesn't want to. Everybody probably has a top 10 list, whatever their role in the company. Dave's probably staying on top of the top 10 opportunities and any problems that are going on. He will choose to follow certain records. Now the system will watch what he follows, and it's smart enough to make some recommendations, and so that's what we see over here, some recommendations about other things the system thinks Dave might like to follow. So Dave's feeling pretty good after seeing these reports and these graphs from his VP of Services, but he knows that there are some trouble areas inside the company. And in fact, the company has just released a brand new product, and the new product has had some issues out in the field. Dave checks the Service Pulse volume, the Product Pulse volume map. So that's what we're looking at here. This is the Product Pulse volume tool. And there are blinking lights where there are machines installed at customers that are having issues. These machines are, through Product Pulse, communicating errors and machine faults in a self-reporting manner. And Dave can see that there are some issues. This new product, it's got some problems, and we need to get ahead of it. Product Pulse is the second example of why collaboration is a game changer. You get remote device monitoring, so it would let your company know of a problem before the customer, potentially. See pulses directly from the device, and then proactively dispatch techs to solve issues at this site and at other sites. So Dave is pretty upset about this. He wants to make sure that we get ahead of it, so he's going to drill into Service Pulse powered by Chatter. He can even do a little bit of research. He can see here's the machine, and the machine is generating its own messages, such as error 303, maintenance required. And Dave's going to go ahead and give some direction here. So he's going to say, hey, Ken, we really need you to get on top of this. Meanwhile, Ken's already on top of it. So I'm going to log out as Dave Achiever here. I'm going to switch hats and switch browsers over to Google Chrome. And so now I'm logged in as Ken. Remember, Ken is my VP of Services, so I've switched roles. Everybody should know that. Ken is one step ahead of his boss. So Ken knows that the system has already been putting out messages that are self-reporting faults. And Ken knows the system automatically created a work order to proactively dispatch the technician. Here's that work order. It's field service. It's out at Summit Health. That's where the blinking light was. And we've got some service level agreement clocks which are already ticking down. Ken is worried that we're going to run out of time. But he knows that we've got a good technician on it. We've got one of our best technicians who's been dispatched. And that would be, let's go ahead and refresh this, that would be Scott Techman. And Scott Techman is already working on this and going to be the guy who goes out there and takes care of it. So the clocks are ticking. We've got a problematic customer, but we found out about it before the customer did. Now we need to get it fixed. I'm going to switch hats again, and I'm going to come in as the technician. The technician is going to pick up the job on his iPad out in the field. He logs into his iPad application from ServiceMax, and he can see his whole schedule, and he can see here is the work order, so he can work on it. It's a self-reported error 303. The technician sees the same clocks as everybody else in the organization, so we're all focused on getting it done. The problem here, though, is that it's a new product, and this technician, while he's great, he doesn't know a whole lot about how to fix error 303. So before he starts debriefing what he did to fix it and what he wants to do to log parts and labor and expenses, he's going to do a quick search from his mobile device for any troubleshooting documents. Hold on one second here. Go back. For any troubleshooting documents. And he's looking for things on error 303, and there's not a whole lot. There's something on troubleshooting the printer attached to the device, but that's not going to help. And he's found some other information in the manual section, but again, nothing on error 303. What he really needs is collaboration. And he has Service Pulse, powered by Chatter collaboration, right on his mobile device. He could ask a question right in here, but before he does, he could just go ahead and take a look and see what's going on inside of the previous communication. And he can see that someone else, Jason Offline, has already asked about error 303 and already gotten an answer from one of the product engineers back in the office. This is real-time mobile collaboration. Post a question, troubleshoot in real time. You don't even need to know who the expert is. So this is how team members can share a fix. And this is how we can leverage and document tribal knowledge, because all this information goes into a searchable knowledge base as opposed to a siloed email system. Collaboration means that Scott can get the machine fixed the first time. As Vidya was talking about, fix it the first time around. What would have happened in the past? Well, maybe he couldn't have gotten it fixed, and there would have had to be a second truck roll. That would have increased the cost to your company. That would have decreased the customer satisfaction. So now, Scott Techman can go ahead and get this fixed. But wait, there's a little bit more. Let's go ahead and come back into the Service Manager's browser. The Service Manager, Ken, wants to make sure that emergencies like this don't happen again, that we really do get ahead of the problem, as his boss, the CEO, suggested. So he wants to go ahead and make sure that we can really figure out what's happening with the failures. We've got a failure symptom analysis. He can go ahead and share that if he wants. He can share it with anybody inside the organization. For example, Doc Martin, the VP of Sales, might need to know about it. We can go ahead and say, Doc, be aware of these issues, so that when his folks are out there selling it, if they know that they're in an environment where there's likely to be any of these particular issues, perhaps they'll go a little light on the selling. Or maybe a little bit more, on a little bit happier note, kind of on a revenue note, we can go ahead and take this, which Ken has shared with David Achiever, and he could choose to share that with others. So he could share that with Doc and say, hey, Doc, you're doing a great job. Keep selling more. Likewise, so that the problem doesn't happen again, Ken does a search, and he sees that the product engineer has updated the maintenance instructions for that document, and he can go ahead and choose to share it with his team or with anybody specifically inside of the organization, with people, with groups, or with anyone that we decide to give a link to, so that everybody has the latest and greatest information, so that when this error 303 happens, we can always be right on top of it. In the end, folks, that's what collaboration is about. Collaboration not only allows Service Pulse to allow a service organization in this demo to get that customer fixed quickly, it allows them to identify new revenue opportunities for selling new types of contracts like proactive, and it allows them to identify ways to get ahead of the cost that we can fix things and not repeatedly, and not have the same problems cause us problems in the future. That's money in the bank, making money and saving money. And that's money due to Service Pulse from ServiceMax. Thank you very much. And now, back to Nicole to close this out.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jay. So we can go ahead and take questions now. Just as a reminder, to submit a question, you'll have to open up the questions panel on the GoToWebinar session and type in your question, and that will come into our queue here. So I'll go ahead and give a minute for people to submit their questions. I'm going to open the panel here. I think we already had a couple questions that did come in. So one of the questions is, can groups be created and channel partners assigned to a group? For example, a silver level channel partner get different access or material than, say, a platinum channel partner?
Yes, absolutely. You can create many, many groups, and that is the recommended way of using it. You don't want everybody really chattering to the entire company.
Great, plain and simple. All right. There was another question about the presentation and the recording, and I mentioned first, it is being recorded, and we will make it available on our website. It should be there early next week. It generally takes about 3 business days to get it posted, so look for it there. I'm happy people are interested in maybe sharing the presentation, so that's great news. Another question is, and this is sort of related to another question, is sort of what are some key objections to social technology and field service, and how can we promote this within a company?
Mm-hmm. And I think we can take that in 2 separate chunks. First off, there are objections to social technology and embracing it within one's organization, especially in something that's as complex as field service. This can be eliminated by just making sure that you see the information that's relevant for you. There's always a problem of too much noise, so make sure that you create groups that are relevant and have hashtags, and use ampersand when you call out people, so that an automatic notification goes to them and they're alerted that they are mentioned on Service Pulse. And you could define various products, service, geographical groups that often share information. You could create public or private groups, and I think that goes back to the previous question on with partners. That would be, that's outward facing, and you could have internal groups. And I encourage people who started groups to add and invite appropriate people to join groups, so that only people who can positively contribute to the group are a part of the group. That's one suggestion. I think the second aspect is around communicating the value and the vision, and well, just to make sure that everybody is aligned with the value and the vision of ServiceMax, Service Pulse from ServiceMax. We can share with you some of the, like, we can spoon feed why Service Pulse at various levels for the CEO and executive, for service managers, for technicians. We can add that as a part of the slide deck when we send it out, or you can reach back to us and we can explain it in more detail.
Okay, thank you, Vidya. There was sort of a product-related question here, and I think, Jay, you'll be able to answer this one. You had said it was better than email because it was searchable. Can you explain what you mean by searchable?
Sure. So, if somebody went and sent an email to get a question answered, like if my Scott Techman technician needed a question answered, he would go to his email, he'd send it directly to somebody, he'd have to know the right person to send it to, and then the answer would come back to him and only to him. You have to have other ways of sharing the information. Inside of this system, you can send private messages, but you can also send messages to the group or to specific people, but other folks can participate in the conversation. And then it's searchable because you can set up searches. I've got some favorite searches. So let's say Ken had a search on that error 303 because he was tracking it. So he can pull up everything for error 303 throughout the organization. So all of the text conversations, not just one tech, and it wouldn't even be hidden as it might be if Scott sent the email to Michael Black, the product engineer, directly. So it has searchability built into it. And somebody could come in here and they could type their own search and pull up other information. So searchability is pretty important. Now some people, along the lines of objections, some people have asked, well, okay, does that mean that email is dead? Well, email is not going to be dead, and not, in my opinion anyway, it's not going away. But this can replace a lot of email because you can have individual messages that are private as well as these public types of messages, which are in specific groups inside the company that people choose to follow. They could choose to follow, say, the sales group or specific people. It allows you to get rid of a lot of that email clutter. So email is not dead, but you can make it a lot more effective. And then the searchable tribal knowledge can make your people a lot more effective, even new people who just started.
Okay, great. And Jen, another product kind of related question here. It goes to the remote monitoring function. Is it direct connection to the unit over the web, or is there an intermediary connection to company monitoring server?
And that's configurable, so that's up to you. The machine-to-machine communication piece is enabled by a layer that it's something that you would need to make sure that your machine itself was engineered. So maybe for future machines, if they don't already communicate via email or directly through the internet, you could add that in working with engineering. But you could go directly to the ServiceMax Suite, or you could go through some type of other layer, which filters and adds a rules engine for deciding what to do with different types of messages.
Okay, great. All right, very good. Well, that wraps up our session today. I want to hold to our 45-minute commitment. I know all of you have plenty of things to do, so we appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Again, if you check back on our website for a replay early next week, and you can always send an email with any additional questions to info@servicemax.com, and somebody will get back to you within 12 to 24 hours. So we look forward to hearing from you, and look forward to you joining us on a future ServiceMax webinar. So have a great day, and thanks again for joining us.